Ruslan.
Apple announced their brand new iPhone, and in the launch of it, they started releasing promotional material, and one of the promotional materials highlighted the potential promotion of a false god who's angry at humans and is going to spite us. This is weird, especially coming from Apple, but at the same time, it's not surprising. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this, and I'll give you guys my thoughts. Shout out to Kirk Kennedy, who I saw cover this first. Then we saw Honest Youth Pastor. Maybe I'll pull up his tweet and give you guys some of his commentary on it. A lot of good conversation happening about this. Now, here's the deal. My buddy Arthur from Apologia Center attempted to do a video on this. Apple took it down. So we got to navigate this very carefully because I don't want no smoke with Apple, okay? Because they can, try to issue a community strike. But this is tweeted by Tim Cook, who's the CEO now, right? And he says, at Apple, we believe that climate change is one of the world's most urgent priorities, and we are deeply committed to doing our part. Today, we had a special guest, a real force of nature, stop by to check on our progress. Now, I will give you guys my thoughts on climate change towards the end of the video, so stick around for that, okay? And it might shock you. Okay, so welcome to Apple. Hi, Tim. Yada, yada, yada. She should be here any minute. How is the weather coming in? Okay, so they're waiting on a guest. Okay, they're waiting on a guest. There's weather issues, and that's why the guest is potentially running late. All right, so they're talking. Hi, Tim. I'm going to do the office is already carbon neutral thing. Being carbon neutral is a good thing. If you can minimize your footprint here, cool. Leading with this is interesting for reasons I'll get into later, okay? All right, so there's the wind blowing. It's intensifying. A bunch of interesting stuff is happening, right? And then they get a drop in from this lady. Okay, now, who is this lady, you ask? Who is this lady, you ask? Well, you guys are about to find out. It's Mother Nature. Mother Nature, welcome to Apple. Okay, so Mother Nature, who is a heavyset black woman, is visiting Apple's staff meeting to talk about the environment. Thunder rumbling, there's thunder, right? The weather and I ever wanted to be. Let's cut to the chase. 2020, you promised to bring Apple's entire carbon footprint to 0 by 2030. Okay? Now, there's something interesting about this whole bringing it to 0 by 2030. We'll get there, though, okay? Hey, and Henry David over here. We have a profound opportunity to build a more sustainable future for the planet we share. Okay, I think our 10 o'clock said the same thing. They all do. All right, so Mother Nature is played by Octavia Spencer. Okay, looks familiar. I'm not super deep in her work, but she looks familiar. All right, so shout out to her. She's playing Mother Nature. Okay, this is my third corporate responsibility gig today. Okay, is there materials persons here? Yes. We are eliminating the process of all plastic from our packaging. Let me guess, 5 years from now, everyone's sold in a bag by the end of next year, actually. And we're also currently using 100% recycled aluminum, which, by the way, I think recycling things in general is just a good idea. Recycling aluminum, recycling batteries. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. What about iPod Shuffle? What? Oh, yeah, that's a joke. Okay. Oh, that's a different group. We're all using... Okay, now this is the frustrating part about all the environmental stuff is the overlap with vegan stuff, right? Why are we doing... We're no longer using leather on our iPhone cases. Now we're using faux leather because, animals. It's like, this just gives me Beyond Meat vibes. I don't want your Beyond Meat. I don't want your faux leather. If I want to get something leather, leave me alone. Let me get what I want to get. If I want to get a leather jacket, I'm going to get a leather jacket. All right? All right, what about Brando over there? They phasing out that too. See? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? My man's he minding his business. He wearing a leather jacket. He minding his business. We going to get, hey, by the way, we're going to get to what's environmentally friendly in a moment. Just bear with me. Okay? What's next? Electricity status. We're operating 100% clean electricity. What runs 100% clean electricity? Apple, every employee, electricity, and your powerful wind and sun. That's cool. Okay, I'm not issues that. There's some things people don't know about when it comes to electric cars, though, and we're gonna get there. Okay. Apple offices are clearly carbon neutral. This building is carbon neutral. Yeah, we do it a mix of emissions, eliminating emissions. Yeah, you're serious, eliminating carbon neutrality in Mother Nature. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, you want them all. Hypothesis, don't. 300 suppliers have committed to using 100% clean, renewable energy. Okay, so I think renewing, recycling, all good things, okay? Okay, transportation. I'm proud to report that we're shipping more products by ocean, river, which reduces transportation emissions by 95%. 95%, not too bad. I'm also happy that we're investing in the world's earth, soil, and trees. Everyone's saying they're planting trees. So she's just disgusted with these people. Apple is really trying here. She's disgusted with these people. Okay, that's the punchline. They're not doing enough. They're not doing enough. They're not doing enough. The man's leather jacket is bad. They need to do more. Okay, I think they're doing a lot. We're also restored in Colombia. What else? Kenya. Our aim is to permanently remove carbon from the atmosphere. Okay, what about your water usage? We reduced it by how much? 63 billion gallons, 63 billion gallons. Apple's playing nice. Okay, Serena classic music plays. You can see we're innovated and retooled almost every part of our process to reduce our impact on the planet. But there's still a lot more work to do. And there's something else we wanted to share with you. You're not trying to bribe Mother Nature with Apple products. It's Apple's very first carbon neutral product. Okay. Serene Strings is the Apple Watch, carbon neutral Apple Watch. I want you to do more of this. You will win by 2030. At Apple devices will have a net zero climate impact. Cool. All of them. They better, they will. Okay. She's looking at them side eye. She doesn't know. She don't trust them. They're not doing it right. They're not doing it right. And she's skeptical of humans, right? Because she's Mother Nature. She's a god. They have a showdown. See you next year. And she flies out. Don't disappoint your mother. And a plant magically grows. Okay. When you look at the countries that are releasing the most carbon emissions and CO2, you would have everyone think that America is the worst in the world when it comes to this. Okay, that America is the worst in the world when it comes to this. Now, here's the punchline. When you actually look, America only releases about 14% of the CO2 emissions by country. Did you know that? China puts out double. Why? Why does China put out double? We're going to come back to that in a minute. And then you got India, and then you got Russia. The environmentalists are putting out this alarmist language that the world's going to burn, all these things are going to be bad. And here's a couple things that are being left out. One, America is not number one. China is number one. Two, the desire to go to EV, the desire to go to carbon neutral, the desire to do solar, the desire to do all these things. What you don't understand is that often those things require more upfront natural resources and are worse for the environment than fossil fuels often are. So you can go down the rabbit hole if you want to. And by the way, this is me coming as someone who has a 2006 Prius and is going to get a Tesla next. Okay, and we have solar panels. We do not waste water. Okay, but when you get into the cobalt and the lithium and all those types of things, these are not easy to create. The chips, the technology, the materials that go into the iPhones are not easy to create. Okay, and so when you factor in who has the biggest contribution to the CO2, it's not America. Who makes it look like we're the worst? Well, America is blamed for most of it, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second, right? And so this alarmist language, I personally don't think it's heavy. I don't think it's helpful. And most of the people that are talking about this stuff are also against clean nuclear energy. Okay, clean nuclear energy. Now, again, I'm a guy that I've driven a Prius. past 5 years. I'm going to get EV next. We have all this stuff, right? The alarmism is not helpful. And this is why. Because as you just noticed with Apple, it just turns this into another religion. It turns environmentalism into another religion. It puts it in the place of God. Instead of the rapture, we're waiting for the world to collapse. Instead of original broken sin, America is intrinsically completely deplorable and needs to repent of its ways. Sounds like total depravity to me. It just swaps out. And just be mindful whenever something is functioning as if it's a religion. World Economic Forum, you will own nothing and you will love it. We need to go to a more socialistic, equitable system. All of these things are connected. And when you get to the brass tacks of it, you realize that, well, it's actually not the way it looks. Well, because China is the number one contributor. Now, why is China the number one contributor? Well, because unfortunately, dirty fossil fuels, dirty energy, quote unquote, is the direct path to get people out of poverty. So there's been a ton of people in India and in China pulling people out of poverty, pulling people out of starvation, pulling people, right? And a lot of times people that are in poverty in developing nations, they don't care if it's environmentally carbon neutral. They want to pull their populations out of starvation as quickly as possible. That's what's happening in India. That's what's happening in China. That's what's been happening in China. That's what's going to continue happening in China. The way this will be fixed is when there are alternatives on the free market, when there are alternatives for EVs, when there are alternatives, and the market is going to be the fastest way to clean this up, not all this overt policy on America as if America is the worst problem when it's not. It just isn't. It's not true. Furthermore, the hilarious part about this is some of the comments immediately after this video, right? Most people in this advertisement are obese. Obese people use more resources. Want to reduce your carbon footprint? Stop being fat. Ouch. We're going to like that one. You should consider reducing your impact on, I don't know how you say that word, but slaves. Right? And so they're getting roasted in the comment section. Because if we're honest, you know that the supply chain with a lot of the things that we consumed, unfortunately, whether it's the shoes, whether it's the clothes, whether it's the fast fashion, whether it's the technology, whether it's your solar panels, whether it's your EV, aren't coming from clean supply chains. So there's no need to cause this shame and to cause this condemnation on people trying to make things right. No one wants to leave a dirty, jacked up, health, climate crisis world for our children. Nobody wants that. Nobody's desiring that. And yes, I do think humans have contributed to some of the climate change. Yes, I believe that. Yes, I think the science says that. I'm not a climate change denier. Obviously, things change. But how do we fix it? I don't think Apple is going to be the ones to lead the way. I think it's going to be breakthrough in technology and capitalism. Punchline. That's what's going to fix it. That's what's going to slow it down. I don't even know if it's at a point of fixing it. And so you gotta look at the pros and cons. Do you want people in China and India to starve, or do you want them to be pulled out of poverty because of technological innovation? Yes, oftentimes anchored on fossil fuels, okay, which do let out more CO2s. Or do you not? Can people have the freedom to eat meat and eat chicken if they want to eat chicken? Or do they need to eat Beyond Meat and be told that cereal and Pop-Tarts or whatever the heck is better than ground beef? Yes, that was a true thing that came out because of the environmental impact, right? And I like anyone who recycles, who's careful with what they do, who's intentional about consuming, but that's not going to move the needle of what's happening in China. That's not going to move the needle of India being pulled out of poverty right now because of fossil fuels. I hate to break it to you, right? You eating Beyond Meat and being a vegan don't move the needle. Me driving an EV and having solar panels isn't going to move the needle. until the rest of the developing nations is able to catch up. Not to mention the fact that China is out here colonizing in real time a lot of parts of Africa so that they can get some of these raw ingredients to get them over. That's a whole nother conversation. This is all true, though. You being a vegan and all these things, and Apple virtue signaling to people with this false God worship of Mother Nature, that this is going to move the needle. It's not. It's going to require the globe as a whole getting on the same page. And you know what's going to get China and India and Russia more excited about that is innovation and technology that makes electric cars cheaper, easier to get a hold of, right? And less demanding on creating. Once we get there, then you'll start seeing the needle move. Right? In the meantime, it's going to be tricky with regards to how there's going to be some extreme climate. That is what it is. We just had a hurricane out here for the first time. And you know what they told us? California is going to flood. San Diego is going to flood. You guys are going to get the amount of rain that you should have gotten a year. You're going to get in a day, and blah, blah, blah. And you know what happened? Nothing. Dodger Stadium flooded out. That's it. We had half a day of rain. There was no tornado. It's alarmist language. It is the secular natural language, alarmist language of Jesus is about to come back any minute and rapture the church that was prevalent 20 years ago when Left Behind was popping. Everyone's waiting for the rapture. Everyone's waiting for the environment to collapse. It's the same exact thing. How soon, how fast, I don't know. The imminency of Christ, I don't know. I don't know how soon he's coming back. But I don't think you should be living your life in fear. So what about Hawaii? Hawaii was bad. But and this isn't a conspiracy, this is fairly documented. Didn't the governor of Hawaii stop the fire departments from having access to the water they needed to put out some of those fires? I believe this is fairly documented. Didn't that happen? So that sounds like a bureaucratic L. And now they're talking about $700 checks for people who lost everything, and to make a memorial for that part of the country. What? How about we pull back some of the money we're sending, the accidental money we're sending to Ukraine, the accidental $5 billion we sent to Ukraine, which, by the way, I think it costs $4 billion to rebuild that part of Hawaii. How about instead of sending out that accident, we sent and give people their homes back and rebuild Hawaii? How about we do that? Listen, I got solar panels not because I'm a Green Party member. I got solar panels because it eliminates my electricity bill, right? Like, it eliminates my electricity bill. There's an incentive. The 45 grand that I costed it out, I ran the numbers on that. It cost me 45 grand to get a big old solar system. We run the AC in the studio. We run the AC in the house, 2 separate units. And I'm about to get an EV, potentially a second EV at some point for my wife. If we have 2 EVs, and it just makes sense to pay the 45 grand, knock that out, and then I don't have to have an electricity bill. Right? So it's a financial incentive, less of an ideological incentive. Most people think like that. Most people go, "Oh, I can get a Tesla and it'll be cheaper." It'll be cheaper because right now if you're paying taxes, you can get the $7,500 tax credit, and I can not have to pay as much to charge my Tesla because I could just use electricity, and I could have a nicer driving experience, and they're like the price of a Toyota Camry. I'm in. Right? I'm in. And Tesla's doing it at $2,500. Oh, by the way, and notice that Tesla's not invited to any of these conversations. Did you notice that? Ain't that something? Tesla's not invited to the White House. You know how cool Elon made EVs, regardless on if you like Elon or not. You know how cool he made EVs? The Tesla X, the Model S, completely changed the vibe of EVs. They made it cool. Not only was it a luxury, it's cool. Guess who didn't get invited when the White House got together to talk about electronic vehicles? They don't like him. Why? Well, because he probably, he's not going to fall in line. And here's the punchline. In the same way that Patrick Bet-David said to Graham Stephan, listen, everybody has a God. Everybody has a God. Some people's God is something that is self-destructive, unfortunately. Other people's God is something altruistic and helpful. And they take it to the extreme. We all got that vegan friend. I ain't got no beef with vegans, pun intended. If you want to be a vegan, follow your conscience. Okay? But veganism can become a god, just like leftism can become a god, just like LGTB stuff can become a god, just like fill in the blank. Working out can become a god. Some gods are more helpful than others, but they're still false gods. They're still false gods. The ancestors, come on, Nia, right? And when you add the component of alarmism, it's like, yo, this is the fundamentalist. This is the fundamentalist trope all over again. Get ready. Did you hear the trumpet sound? You hear the trumpet in Revelation, and then Trump gets elected as president in 2016, and then you read Isaiah 45, and Trump was the 45th president, and the trumpet in Revelation. Get out of here, y'all weirdos. But you can't tell me that that Apple commercial don't seem eerily similar. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Shout out to my guy David who DM'd me. We're gonna next week we're gonna try something that David recommended, which is on certain topics we might open up the call on the Patreon to have some of you guys chime in. All right, so we're gonna try that out, especially on a day where there's not a lot of topics. You know, we might open that up. Do a topic, boom, bring in some of you guys from the Patreon. I appreciate you guys, all right? Peace. We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when he answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used for my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there.